This is something I came up with that I needed. I talked to other people as well, and they were having trouble with their pole saws on the side by sides, and so I came up with this system that I can haul my pole saw as well as other things where I need them, and it just made my life a lot easier. This is it. This is my Ranger, and there's my river. But this is what I came up with. This is a nice system that's nice and lightweight. Now that's a key because I've seen some other impressive systems on the web that people have put together that might weigh a couple 100 pounds or so. And I was like, no, I needed something that was light and yet would do the job safely, easy on and easy off. And so this is what I built. It's all aluminum, a little bit of steel in the pipe here, and then these wood dowels. I had these hardwood dowels I turned down to fit the hole. But I have to say, I really like how this has turned out. The how I made this is the side view here. I made a beam in the back here of aluminum, and all my aluminum is 6061. I find that really easy to weld. And just a moment on welding aluminum versus steel. I know steel is cheaper than aluminum. However, in the bigger picture, I find welding aluminum is a little bit more cheaper than steel because I spend less time on it. With steel, once I build these side mounts here, well, that's the beginning. Then I got to prep the steel, finish it somehow, so it doesn't rust away. With aluminum, I can just wire brush it and then I'm done. But what my design was, I built this back beam here, and I did that so the stress side to side. If I just had a single point on a beam on the top, that's going to flex too much of that one point right here. But by having this large beam, it really kind of takes all that area and distributes it first off of both sides, but also the whole top of the dowel then. And that's a pretty good hardwood dowel. I don't think I'm going to have any problems with that. And because I got both sides, like I said, both sides can support each other on lateral movements. And I put this horizontal bar in. I have to say this was an afterthought because I was thinking if I ever had to stop quickly or something, and especially if I have it loaded with my chainsaw rails, my chainsaw mill rails, I thought I needed some extra support. So I added this support here, and that just kind of makes the whole thing nice and rigid. It also has a little taper to it. They're not going to come out unless I take these two bolts off. But what's nice, I can just take these two bolts off, and the whole system will just lift up. So I'm very happy how this has been working. The how I mounted this, I ended up finding a flat roof, one piece flat roof aftermarket for my Ranger, and it came with these nice little threaded mounts that bolt to the frame here. And what I did, I built this top rail. I just found some longer bolts, extended them through. I did put a spacer. It's hard to tell here, but there's a spacer holding the plastic roof down that does not stress the roof. It's really got about the same tension I had before. But really, all the stress is coming from the how I bent the rail, the aluminum flat stock here around the rail. I put in this real high density foam here just to kind of distribute the pressure, and it's you can't really tell here. I put some pipe insulation, but I have a 5/8 inch aluminum rod, solid, which I just heated it up and bent on my bending machine and welded it in place, and that gives me a nice little cradle to hold the pole saw. Now I found out I'm not very good at matching both ends of the bend on the frame, and so my hint and how I did this, I went ahead and cut these two pieces, and then I could kind of move them together where I wanted them, and then I basically just welded the two pieces in the bottom here, and you really can't tell it. But that allowed me to get exactly the dimensions I wanted for each bend. The aluminum is kind of soft, and this picture doesn't show it, but I've actually had my 1.5 inch steel by 12-foot rails up here, just because that's what I use for my chainsaw milling. And I thought, well, I need to protect the aluminum. It's going to wear and get some sharp edges and whatnot. So I just built these little wood caps here. They'll get trashed out over the years, but they'll be easy to replace. And I just put a couple dabs of silicone underneath them that will hold them in place, and yet I can still remove them when necessary. So but it's been working really well. Now I took the dowel to the my lathe, okay, and just turned it to so the same time it kind of hit the bottom of the hole, there's a little stop there, it got nice and snug. However, I think this is the weak link of the whole system, as this was. I've actually modified it since then, because if I take my tape measure, I can go a lot deeper down this hole. So it's got to be a little lip or something in the bottom down here that that dowel rests on. And I did not want the whole weight of everything, even though this dowel gets kind of snug when it gets down, when it bottoms out, I still thought that was going to be the weak link. So what I ended up doing is, after I got it turned right where I wanted it with a little taper, I built these 3D printed collars, and these things really clamp on, even though they're only quarter-inch bolts. I made this out of PETG, 100% infill, and they are tough. You clamp those things on there and they're not going to go anywhere. So I figure if I ever have a bump or something or whatever, well, that's going to give me a little bit extra support just to protect that bottom of that hole. I did place these on Thingiverse. OTandAT is my channel. I got the open SCAD, so if you need to change the taper, you can easily do that. And I also have just a demonstration of what fit this. I think it was 1 3/8 inch I had at the bottom there. But that way you can adjust the taper as necessary. And I think on mine I had like a 2 mm taper still. So even though they're tapered, they're still going to prevent that from driving that post in further. And I have no concern about this anymore. So the top part I did weld up in steel. I just looked through my salvage or my junk pile and found a nice tube that would fit this dowel I had. And I turned the shoulder on the other end of the dowel and it would just slide on there. There's nothing really attaching it, holding it there except gravity. But I put this, it's hard to tell in this picture, but you can see the shadow here. There's a vertical one coming up. That's that horizontal piece that attaches to the cab. That's what holds the whole structure from front and back movement. But it turned out really nice. Here's a little close-up of mounting it on here. There's that one I was just talking about, the horizontal rail, and that allows it to be nice and secure. It won't come up because this rail is kind of holding it down. It's got a little taper to it, and yet only 4 of these quarter-inch holes here hold the whole beam on here. Now, a little close-up here on the side, I did use a little bit larger piece in the back. This is 1.5 inch aluminum angle. And that sits right on top of the steel, sitting right on top of the dowel. So it's not just the steel taking it in the shoulder, but it's on the dowel as well. A little bit lighter on the bottom. That's 1 1/4 inch. And then this is the 2 inch piece of flat stock. Um, it just made it nice, nice and secure. And I guess for just overkill, I put these little these 1/4 inch rods through here, and that's a real easy thing to do. I actually pre-bent them best I could estimate or guesstimate, and then as I'd weld them and tack weld them, they're still malleable for a couple seconds, and then you can just rebend the next one where you want to tack that, and then work your way down the line. But it gives you a nice, solid yet strong beam. And this is the side view. There's a picture. It's got a little bit of a angle to it. And I have to admit, this was an afterthought. I was putting this together. Originally, I thought maybe just one post just for the beam, or one post just for the pole saw. But I started thinking, well, if I'm gonna go to this much work, you might as well have it so I can carry other things, and especially my chainsaw mill rails. I'll have to drive to safe and sane with this on there, but that's the way to do it anyway. But it was a real easy thing. This is a picture before the little collars down here. But I have to say, this was a fairly inexpensive build. And I really like how this has turned out. So anyway, if you can use this, good luck. Have a good day.